A scandal involving 5 male teachers in their 50s at a South Korean high school, accused of chronically grooming female students and teachers, has shocked the nation. What was even more surprising was that the victims petitioned for these teachers to be released and back in class ASAP. This bizarre scene isn't from a K-drama, it was a real event in 2015. After the truth was revealed by the whistleblower, there was real conflict among the victims. They suspected each other of exposing the predators, who were experts in university entrance exams and could ensure high scores for students. The girls even complained, "We have endured the abuse for so long. It is not worth revealing the teachers at such a critical time in preparing for our exams. Without a teacher, we can't even work on our essays." It is fair to say that these 5 scumbags have tarnished the innocence of the female students. It is even more crucial to recognize that the Korean education system has disrupted the moral fabric in Korea. According to data from the South Korean Ministry of Education, 147 students from elementary, junior and senior high schools took their own lives in 2020, reaching a record of 2.75 suicides per 100,000 students. This doesn't include failed attempts. Today, we are going to look at the intense pressure of South Korean university entrance exams, where the mindset is often to study till you drop. At 2 a.m. in South Korea, while most of the people are fast asleep, there is a special group of students quietly live streaming their study sessions online. Yoon Yi-won is a junior high school student who stays up late to watch the live-streamed classes. She draws motivation from observing others' efforts. She is the hero featured in a documentary about the South Korean university entrance exams, called Betrayal of Study by the Korean Educational Broadcasting System (EBS). At 16, living in the northwest of Korea, she's anxious about the upcoming exams. Despite excelling in junior high school, she feels she lags behind her peers in first-tier cities. Research indicates that 8 out of 100 current senior high school students would have completed all high school curriculums by the time they graduated from primary schools. For Yoon Yi-won, compared to her counterparts, she's behind. She sees them as her competitors, and they pose a formidable challenge. Going to bed at 2 a.m. is an unreachable dream for Yoon Yi-won. During the final exam preparation, she gets less than 3 hours of sleep each night. In South Korea, there is a saying among students called 4 up, 5 down, but now it's moving towards 3 up, 4 down. This means that students who sleep only 3 hours a day might have a chance to succeed, while those who sleep 4 hours are more likely to fail. The relentless studying day after day has caused Yoon Yi-won's right hand to develop layer after layer of calluses. Her daily study schedule is packed, with strict time limits for meals, sleep and even toilet breaks. If today's tasks aren't completed, it would affect the plan for the next several days. Before each exam, Yoon Yi-won's fingers hurt from overuse, making it difficult to hold a pen. At these times, she uses an elastic band to tie the pen to her hand, relying on the strength of her wrist to write. Yoon Yi-won has set a goal for herself to attend a private senior high school in Seoul. Her dream is to get into medical school at university and eventually become a doctor. To achieve this dream, she must enter the private senior school with the highest acceptance rate to medical universities. Senior high schools in Korea are divided into regular, private and special-purpose schools. Special-purpose schools focus on cultivating talents in specific areas, commonly known as special-purpose senior high schools. Among the special-purpose schools, they are mainly categorized as foreign language, science, art, and sports. Stats show that the average scores in English and maths for private senior high schools are 22.3 and 22.1 points higher than those in regular schools. Special purpose school has even higher scores, with significant difference of 42.3 in English and 39.6 in maths compared to regular schools. The admission rates to prestigious universities from private and special purpose are overwhelmingly higher, nearly 10 times that of regular schools. Such score disparities will determine the fate of many in the university entrance exams. Therefore, gaining admission to a good senior high school becomes the crucial first step toward entering a prestigious university. It is like navigating through levels of challenging video games, where losing at any stage means game over for the whole journey. To get into a good private senior high school, besides the written tests, there is also a face-to-face interview. On the interview day, Yunyuan tries to stay nonchalant in front of her families, but she's aware everyone is hanging by their throats whether she passes or not. The annual tuition for a private senior high school is at least 10 million Korean wons, around 11,000 Australian dollars or 7,700 US dollars. This is a substantial expense for Yunyuan's ordinary working-class family. Yunyuan finally succeeded getting into a private senior high school in Seoul. However, before she could celebrate, reality hit her hard. Even though she graduated as top of her class in junior high, her first report card in senior high was dismal. Out of 359 students in her grade, she ranked 313, firmly in the lower middle range. Yunyuan's earlier intuition was correct. Her real competitors were a group of monsters from the big cities. Like many students in the neighboring country China, South Korean senior high students face a challenging exam at the end of their 3-year academic journey. It is called the University Scholastic Ability Exam, similar to China's university entrance exam. This test typically takes place in November. In China, during the annual university entrance exams, you often hear about familiar stories like a student struggles to take exam on time due to traffic, get police escort. These stories are actually inspired by South Korean media. On the day of the exams in South Korea, the entire country takes measures to assist test takers. Government offices, major businesses, even the stock market delay their activities by an hour to prevent traffic congestion. Firefighters and police on motorcycles are on standby in their designated area, and students can call for help anytime they need it, with help arriving promptly. To accommodate the English listening test, all airlines will suspend their takeoffs and landing for 25 minutes. Planes crossing Korean airspace must maintain an altitude of over 3,000 meters. South Korea's unique senior-junior culture and cheering culture lead groups of younger students to gather in front of the testing centers, displaying banners to support their peers, and some may even kneel in solidarity. South Korean parents often pray for their children, and on the day of the exams, temples are often crowded with people. Some parents even kneel for as long as their children's testing period, which can last for hours. The South Korean university entrance exams take place from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., covering 5 subjects in one day. Unlike the Chinese version, most of the South Korean tests are in multiple choice format, without any essay writing tasks, which typically contribute significantly to the scores in the Chinese counterpart. However, it is still challenging as the English paper requires extensive reading, and the maths includes advanced topics like calculus and matrices. The most challenging part in the Korean exams are social studies investigation and science investigation, similar to the Chinese counterparts humanities and sciences. These subjects encompass a mix of knowledge, where a single question may involve various topics like ethics, geography, politics, economics, life sciences, and earth sciences. In simple terms, you may recognize every word in the question, and still struggle to understand its meaning. In an episode of the South Korean variety show Infinite Challenge, the theme of the challenge was focused on university entrance exam. Some adult participants found themselves perplexed by the exam questions. They couldn't help but exclaim, "What are you doing to us, Korean government?" Little did they know that the torment goes beyond the government and extends to the cruel societal mechanisms hidden behind the university entrance exams. On the Korean peninsula, there is a legendary figure respected by both the North and South, known as the Father of Korea, Mr. Kim Gu, often referred to as the Sun Yat-sen of Korea. In 1895, when faced with Japanese invaders, Kim Gu sought refuge in China. During his time in Chongqing, he penned a phrase later became the official educational motto of Korea, to broadly expanding the benefit of people, we need to enlighten everyone equally. After World War II, only 14% of the South Korean population had received formal education, and the illiteracy rate was as high as 53%. Following Japan's defeat, more than 30,000 teachers were taken away. The Korean education system faced a crisis, losing a significant portion of its teaching force overnight. In 1948, with the support of the U.S., Syngman Rhee became the first president of South Korea and declared the establishment of the Republic of Korea on August 15. Syngman Rhee, determined, issued a strict order, at any cost, Promote education. South Korea needed to strive for the future. In the 1960s, Park Chung-hee became president in South Korea and faced the challenge of transforming a poor agricultural country with a low junior high school enrollment rate. Recognizing the need for industrialization, he implemented policies to reform the education system. He abolished junior high school entrance exams, increasing the number of students and average education level across the country. To address resource scarcity for high schools, he introduced a system combining exams and lottery for junior high school students entering senior high school. This diverted students into vocational and technical education, meeting the demand for skilled workers in South Korea's rapidly developing economy. By the 1970s, enrollment rates for elementary, junior high, and senior high reached 99%, 75% and 54% respectively, marking the modernization of education and contributing to a miracle on the Han River. During Park Chung-hee's era, he led South Korea to economic success but also enforced a harsh rule. The rapid growth brought issues like powerful conglomerates and a skewed education system. To fill gaps in public education, the government boosted private education. People realized higher education meant higher income. Getting kids into university became a top goal for every parent. The wealthy invested heavily, while the common people, unable to change their destinies, put all hopes in the next generation. Profit-driven capitalism thrived in areas like tutoring and higher education. In 1980, South Korea had around 9.8 million elementary, junior and senior high school students, with over 1.5 million receiving private tutoring. The nationwide spending on private tutoring was estimated at 330 billion Korean wons, approximately 385 million Australian dollars or 250 million US dollars, a significant amount for the early 1980s. In July 1980, due to widespread dissatisfaction with the excessive spending on private education, the Chun Doo-hwan government introduced the 30 July Educational Reform Decree, with focus on educational equity and equal starting line for every student. This decree aimed to address the issue by expanding university enrollment and strictly prohibiting extracurricular tutoring. To tackle the tutoring frenzy, the South Korean government went all in with a team specifically hunting down private tutors. Think of it as going after big crimes like drugs and gambling. This hit tutoring centers hard, but the problem of not enough spots in good universities and social class issues kept going strong. So, parents got crafty, trying out new ways to find tutors. Some pretended to hire highly educated domestic helpers to clean the house, and others literally drove their kids and tutors around the blocks for lessons. Tutors, trying to stay under the radar, jacked up their prices, and still, snagging a top-notch tutor became a real challenge. Basically, the ban on extra classes in South Korea was a total flop. In 2000, President Kim Dae-jung's government said, "This is violating kids' right to learn," and scrapped the ban. Since then, tutoring businesses blossomed, and even during COVID, there were more than 70% of tutoring centers were still running. Soon enough, there were COVID outbreaks among students in tutoring centers across major cities like Seoul, Busan and Gwangju. The current landscape of the South Korean university entrance exams wasn't just shaped by extracurriculum and private tutoring. The real game changer was the South Korean Gifted Education Promotion Act, enacted in the late 1990s. As compulsory education became a reality, standardization was no longer enough to meet society's demand for diverse talents. In the late 90s, the idea of quality education gained prominence, and the government initiated a reform aimed at fostering students' interests and creativity. In 1999, South Korea introduced a law called the Gifted Education Promotion Law. The bill passed in 2002. This legislation gave universities more say in picking students beyond the traditional path through exams. To move away solely relying on test results, they brought in something called the life record. It shows a student's overall performance. And it is still the way South Korean universities pick students today. Getting into universities in South Korea primarily evaluates three aspects of the student's comprehensive performance. First, there is the University Entrance Scholastic Ability Test, aka the Senior High School Graduation Exam. Then comes the Senior High School Internal Assessment, which includes scores from various stages of senior high and carries significant weight. Lastly, there is a face-to-face interview. Each internal assessment can potentially impact the final university admission. So, for students and their parents, every test during those 3 stages is crucial, with no room for slacking. The so-called life record is the VIP pass for a face-to-face interview. It is a detailed report card that spills the beans on everything a student did in senior high school, from tests and attendance to hobbies, awards, and real-life experiences. Before hitting the last year of school, students hustle to make their life record shine, because, let's face it, the last year is a sprint to prep for the big university entrance exam, and every detail matters. You might think that quality education would ease the pressure on students, but the bold of smart data directly quantifies the immeasurable indicators of quality education, and throws them into the intense university entrance competition. They say it is to avoid a one-size-fits-all situation, but in reality, it is turning a beheading into a prolonged torture. The life record booklet has become a major competition among families, involving background, parents' financial status, and teaching resources. This has led to the rise of university entrance exam coordinators, who handle everything related to admission. In the K-drama City of the Sky, the life record booklet designed by a top coordinator, Kim Joo-young, is valued at billions. It includes detailed exam guides and even a unique method for becoming the student council president, claiming a 100% success rate in getting students into Seoul University. While reality might not be as exaggerated, many high-income families hire these coordinators. They earn a monthly salary of 7 to 8 million Korean wons, with some even exceeding 10 million Korean wons. They are well-versed in the enrollment tactics of various universities and besides helping students improve their grades, arrange diverse extracurricular activities. In the documentary, Betrayal of Study, a student from a private high school won 61 awards from competitions, while a typical family's child might only have a few pages in their life record booklet. For South Korean students, getting into university isn't just about the day of the entrance exams. They need to carefully consider the type of admissions, select schools for interviews, and prepare required materials in a long run. It is like holding a deck of cards. The values matter, but how you play them is also incredibly crucial. While it is tough for students to recognize everything, some affluent families with intelligence find it easier. It is like wealthy people taking a high-speed train, while you are stuck with a bicycle. The engines are different. Can the speeds be the same? In the real world's tortoise and hare race, the rabbit won't slack off. In a game of unequal information, there is a group called the Gangnam Moms. Within their small circle, these moms share enrollment details of top universities and recommend reliable private tutors. Leaking information outside of this exclusive group results in harsh expulsion. A perfect life record is essential, but that's not all that determines a university entry. Family income is also directly linked to the results of the Scholastic Ability Test. According to recent data in 2015, children from families with an income of 5.81 million Korean wons or above scores 43.42 points higher in the university entrance exam than children from families with an income of 1.25 million Korean wons or below. Admission to South Korean universities is not just a competition between students, but also a competition between families and social classes. This education system is no longer a force for building the nation and benefiting society. It exists solely to consolidate family interests, gain social status, move across classes, and address employment issues. In such a system, can the successful individuals truly avoid becoming more selfish and indifferent? In the K-drama Sky Castle, there is a classic question. If you can get your child into a good university, would you be willing to endure the rupture of parent-child relationships or even family collapse? In real life, many parents may struggle to answer this question. In 2011, a shocking homicide unfolded in South Korea. In November 2011, the police took away a teenager named Ko from Seoul. Until then, the neighbors couldn't believe that the usually obedient and academically successful Ko could kill his own mother. In March of that year, Ko ranked 4,000 in a nationwide mock exam with 700,000 participants. This was considered a decent score, but Ko knew it wouldn't satisfy his mother. Living in a single-parent household, all of his mother's hopes were pinned on him, hoping he would get into a prestigious school. To live up to her expectations, Ko altered his grades, falsely claiming to have ranked 62nd. When discovered, he faced severe physical punishment. Broken and desperate, Ko entered the kitchen and picked up a knife. 8 months later, his father, who had been unable to reach him, visited their home and discovered that Ko had been living with his mother's corpse all this time. A tragedy of unimaginable proportions. But even if the students get into prestigious universities, as countless parents hope for, does this really open a new chapter in life? In the third episode of the documentary Betrayal of Study, a person named Daswian is featured. He graduated from an ordinary high school but managed to get into Yonsei University, one of the top 3 universities in Korea along with Seoul National University and Korea University, collectively known as the Sky Universities, which dominate the Korean higher education scene. Being a student from a small, ordinary high school and making it into a prestigious university made Daswian the pride of his family and also his school. However, what Daswian didn't anticipate was that entering university would mark the beginning of his nightmare. In the vast campus, he knew no one, and not a single classmate from his high school was there. Every April Fool's Day, university students wear their high school uniforms to spot alumni from their respective high schools. People do judge each other based on the uniform you wear, shaping their perception of you. Students from prestigious and private schools would proudly gather, not only for nostalgia, but also to leverage strong social and economic resources within their families. On the flip side, students from regular schools often find themselves at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Daswian experienced complete isolation. Sharing a similar predicament was also another uni student, Han Man-gil. Han Man-gil came from a remote fishing village and entered South Korea's Seo River University through the support of the Equal Opportunity Policy for students facing extreme difficulties. This particular university happens to be the alma mater of former President Park Geun-hye. Ironically, South Korean universities organize regular meetings for these financially challenged students, essentially publicizing their status. During one such gathering, a friend of Han Man-gil, whom he thought had a decent relationship with, remarked, "You are from a small fishing village. Why are you so vocal?" It was then that Han Man-gil realized how others perceived him. Some say that no matter which high school you graduated from, once you enter a prestigious university, just focus on your academic progression, and everything will go smoothly after graduation. However, ideals are plump, and reality is lean. Those soon-to-be graduates, sandwiched between dreams and reality as they prepare to leave the campus, are arguably the ones experiencing the most painful struggles. Take Han Man-gil for example. Although he got into university, the tuition fees were expensive for his family to manage. Han Man-gil borrowed a huge student loan of 15 million Korean wons and had to work part-time to cover his living costs. He stayed in a cheap room in Seoul, which was basically just a small shoebox. Even though it wasn't fancy, Han Man-gil was happy, because it was the most affordable option he could find in Seoul. If it was up to him, he'd say, "Life would be easier if we didn't have to eat. I could study more and work less." He mentioned during the documentary that he hasn't had dinner in 3 weeks. Skipping dinner used to make him restless at night due to hunger, but now he's gotten used to it. While his wealthier classmates are busy with clubs, TOEIC English exams which can lead them to study abroad, Han Man-gil has to hustle between different part-time jobs. Unfortunately, these jobs don't seem to be helping much in his job hunt for his career after graduation. Recently, he applied a job which requires good English, and he wanted to take the TOEIC English exam, but he couldn't afford the 60,000 Korean won's registration fee. As expected, he didn't get the job. In the final scene of the documentary, Han Man-gil returns to his hometown because his mother is seriously ill and needs care. Although being back home saves him rent, it also means finding a decent job becomes even more unreachable. While Han Man-gil might appear as a hardworking and ambitious university student, he says, "What is the point of working hard? It is important to live well. If you just work hard, others might give you applause at most." The documentary concludes with a thought: studying won't betray those who work hard, but kids know that reality differs from what the books portray. Yet, what these students hope for is a world where efforts are rewarded. As South Korean sociologist Oh Chon-ho said in Sociology of Marriage and Child Rearing, South Korea is a society where ordinary people work hard but can only live an ordinary life. A century ago, the founding father of South Korea, Kim Gu, wrote, "Hangik the world, Yua the world, which means to broadly expanding the benefit of people. We need to enlighten everyone equally. In 1886, Yua Women's University was established based on Christian and virtue-oriented principles. In 1946, Hangik University was established following Confucianism. However, today, Yua Women's University barely squeezes into the top 10 among notable Korean universities, and Hangik's ranking has dropped to around 40, even considered a fourth tier in the eyes of many locals. In its place, there stands a sky city built with desire and wealth, overlooking the earthly realm like an emperor.